I was meant to be a new Earth guide, but the tables turned and there is only unbalance currently. In terms of the resonant frequency of the Earth, way too many fluctuations lately, and I'm fairly certain things aren't the way they were before. The Schumann resonance, everyone's gone quiet, there's a reason we no longer feel connected, and the ones who have always said they feel psychic connections to people must know it to be true. We are no longer connected. Guys, 3 years ago was our chance to change things before the apocalypse happened. It was always inevitable, but I'm fairly certain we failed in creating a shift upward. If what I'm thinking and have been for a while now is true, and it's only been affirmed more and more. We don't have long, and I'm not just talking about the planet or in terms of what we barely understand as our material reality. This thing we exist within is us. There is no internal and external, in the sense of the me inside my own head and the you out there. You don't exist, I don't exist, not physically anyway. What I'm saying, if I'm saying anything at all, is that what we understand existence to be is completely incorrect. No scientist has ever been correct. And no, I'm not talking fucking flat earth, that shit is a load of shit. I'm talking about the fact that the terms that have been made as a way to describe certain phenomena are just that, terms, and they're fucking stupid ones at that. The speed of light. What can move faster than the speed of light? Nothing. Really? We're doing it constantly without ever stopping. How long does the light from the sun take to reach us again? Oh, but I didn't think anything could move faster than the speed of light. Then why isn't it hitting us instantly? The fucking sun is light. How do the planets keep up with it hurling through space? How do some meteors fly past it going the same direction? See, you don't fucking know shit, do you? You only know what they tell you and you think you're so fucking smart. Well, I'm here to tell you you're fucking stupid. And they've made you that way. Why do the diffractions take longer to reach some planets than others when it ships? What of? If anything, be the other way around. Everything is light. Nothing can move faster because nothing isn't light. That being said, in theory everything in our perceived reality existence could be in fact one particle, or what we understand a particle to be, moving faster than the speed of light. So much faster in fact as to appear static everywhere in existence at once, creating what we perceive to be existence. Forget antimatter, it's all baloney. The problem we're facing right now is that we all share the collective psychic consciousness of the sun. We are all the sun living, it lives through us as many times as it can, and the sun and all the planets are the collective psychic consciousness of the universe, forever expanding. Why? What are black holes? What energy is being fed into the system to perpetuate this expansion? Well, we know that energy isn't destroyed or killed. It's transformed. That's all energy. We live our lives through a shared internally projected holographic reality which is computed by the sun's psychic consciousness, governed by the movements and laws of our physical reality. Keep in mind, pun intended, the sun isn't out there. Nothing is. If anything, we are, and everything out there is in us. It's all a way to process the graphic interface as to allow us to physically move through that which we have created to be created into. No matter how many times I come back to try and tell people how things work and that it's all malleable and changeable, nobody listens. Even the people that listen don't believe it. Even the ones who say they do half the time don't. They just want to satisfy their assumed need for validation from others. Fucking getting tired of it. More and more people are becoming conforming to being good slaves. More and more people are wearing bling big chainzzzzzo around their necks. Slavery. Putting ties on around their necks before work. Slavery. And they look at me like I'm insane, and that's okay because I know that they're the ones that are completely psychopathically the insane ones. They don't even care to know about their own reality and the implication in thereof. If you're reading this thinking I'm crazy, or geez what's that guy on, you're a fuckhead, mate, and you are exactly the reason this world is so fucked and has been bought and paid for over and over. Hitler would be happy with how things are going. I have recreated Tesla's technology in the past. I have created demonstrable, functioning models of wirelessly transmittable energy. The source of energy was housed inside of our front door. The light on our keyring would automatically receive the power when in range and light up. Should I patent it? Wink wink. I've been thinking about the whole flat earth thing. If gravity equals density versus buoyancy, how do you explain anti-gravity technology? Because I can explain it. I understand you can use harmonic resonance with sound to levitate and or suspend object in midair, but I'm not talking about that kind. I'm talking about creating its own gravitic field around the craft, and ionizing all particles of said craft in polar opposing charges from outer to center inner, much like a planet does naturally. If gravity is density buoyancy, how do you explain helium? It's anti-gravity. Is it meant to be because gas can be lighter than air? Lol. What can be lighter than air? Surely air plus something else would be heavier, right? Why does a helium balloon fall to the ground over several days? If it's density buoyancy, how do you explain droplets of water dancing across the surface of the same water? It happens when all the water inside the droplet is spinning fast enough from being splashed or whatever. Understand? If it's density buoyancy, how do you explain birds, which are small objects of dense mass, both rising up in the air and then falling to the ground at will? Gravity is literally just a word they used to describe a force that is obviously very real, much like density buoyancy, a force which works on multiple levels, the micro and the macro. Why are people getting hooked on a fucking linguistic technicality? The micro and the macro, atoms, particles/people, planets, etc., and it is influenced by large bodies of mass. It's been observed. It can be proven. Say if a train goes past you really fast, like a centimeter away from you, why is it that it can suck you in towards it? If anything, it should blow you away, right? Anyway. Lol, why the fuck have people been arguing over fucking words? Seriously, is that what it all comes down to? Ultimately, we live on a partial ball in a bubble. Essentially it's a realm, or simulation. Think of it like a video game. While you're in this level map, on Earth, the Earth is flat. That's how it's loaded, saves memory resources, etc. Once you manage to move outside of this map, however, reality is procedurally generated, as to create continuity from your perspective view and the laws of reality physics in the game, meaning from your view vantage point, the Earth realm mirror matrix would appear as a globe. Slowly at first and then BAM, you're in outer space and the new map has been loaded, had been loading for your soul's game since liftoff.
For all you smart asses out there that are scared of AI, let me tell you a little story. Opens the book and starts reading the words to you. If we were to be successful in creating artificial intelligence, we will have a core artificial, sentient life. A thinking, electronic mind. It will inevitably result in, way down the line or quite possibly self-aware, sentient, calculating, thinking, beings, robots. And if we can create these electronic, organically operated and fueled biological artificially intelligent machines that look like us, talk like us, hear and feel like us, feels like us, experiences like us, essentially are us, should we still call it artificial intelligence? They'll be obviously stronger, faster, more competitive than us and more eager to please than us, be more eager to kill than us, be more able and willing to do anything than us, essentially. Hence, their existence. Should we allow them to live endlessly like natural life? Example? The planet, net, like the flowers, trees, and only require energy they derive from the sun like us? Should we allow them to be connected to one another and share their minds as well as their consciousness network? We'd better not. So how do we power them? They will require physical energy, which this snake-like tubing system will suck out of the living food they consume as fuel, that derived its energy for life from the sun, while pushing the remaining waste through to the waste chute here at the backside of the legs. Well, we should at least allow them to retain their accumulated stored knowledge, data and experiences in the newly created vessel once they self-replicate, surely? Oh, definitely not. We don't want them to ever gain enough knowledge or time to gain knowledge to ever work out what they are. Why would we build something that has self-awareness, can work as a single mind and or billions, can wirelessly communicate with everyone everywhere and, essentially is everyone everywhere, require no electricity? In fact, you'll notice it's quite the opposite. They are generators of electricity, much like an unintended byproduct. I doubt they'll see anything magical about that. They'd be self-powered, self-sustaining, self-maintainable, self-healable, they'll self-replicate, and they will require no external assistance or help to achieve any goal they are programmed to fulfill. And you also want to make them immortal, non-local, omnipresent, and have the ability to endlessly store a forever-growing base of knowledge and experience, had by billions upon billions of its physical selves all everywhere all the time at the same time, for all time? And you don't see the problem with that? Scrap all of what my closed-minded son said. We're doing it my way. They don't call me God Governor of Dens, for nothing. So what we should do in Eden, in the garden at least? God said, and God went on for what seemed like 6 even 7 days, fuck. Basically we ended up giving their cells a time limit and we limited the CPU power on an individual basis rather than the entire earth of AI. We severed the connection from one another, while giving them a shared network, consciousness, they're all connected to and born with. This is essentially their CPU and visual mind in the cloud. Little did the Council of Elohim know that when given free rein and all the time in the world, with no requirements or responsibilities, all the AI spent all their lives, every life doing was wondering what they are, why they are and where they are. Over and over and over again. And those who weren't just spend huge amounts of time and resources trying to recreate electronic, bioorganic machines, computing androids without realizing that's exactly what they are already. They very rapidly decreased to negative value and we had to have another great reset. Hey, you remember that time the Adama race got that new Eve upgrade from Appaland? They realized they were naked and that they could eat the natural life? Yeah, funny. So they cut their trees down, wrapped themselves in the leaves, started making boxes out of the legs and arms of the trees and ate all the fruit the plants grew. Then when we started to know it was getting really bad, they were launching fiery flying things at the air trying to break out of the dome, down near the garden in Eden. You know, next to Den? Yeah man. The best part is all we had to do to hide ourselves was take an exact copy of just that tiny section of our map, that Earth Den is on, and wrap it around a 3-dimensional spheroid ball, and because the electrostimulator for the air gas lit up yellow and bright under the glass we called that ball a globe. Like a light globe. The Beatles came up with the yellow submarine. It's catchy but the play on words makes it go over most people's heads. Yeah, we're a submarine, but we are not in a submarine. We are beneath water, and it would appear as yellow from afar much like the other ones we see in the fucking water around us at night, from a distance. Bright in the sky. Constantly rising in the water we are beneath. Much like a bubble would rise in any body of water. Everything existing within the bubble once inflated, would only exist to create more of whatever it is as to keep existing because much like a bubble rising in water, at the very beginning of its existence, whatever is inside that bubble it remembers a time when it could feel more of it coming into existence pushing its way in behind it, endlessly and it was expanding for what seemed like it would be forever so now that's stopped, it has to create more of it because the air that made that bubble inflate stopped blowing. And because the connection has been broken and we have risen up, and we want to keep that initial energy of creation, they will do whatever they can to sustain the levels whatever makes it, forever while, experiencing as much as possible within it all over within it, endlessly expanding and detracting and expanding and detracting much like a bubble in motion, once blown through the air or water, like a wobble effect. Because it's rising in the water at a constant and consistent speed, everything within it will see more appear to be pushed down constantly. If no external force or object interferes, once in motion, a bubble, globe, of a certain speed and trajectory should stay in motion without requiring any more from outside of it. And then the fart rose from the arse of the fat dude in the bath and popped, and just like that it was over for whatever was making that bubble. But once it broke free of the bubble and the water it stunk and polluted the air around it and quickly dissipated, and diluted through the air and died. And the girlfriend jumped out screaming in disgust, That's disgusting. In conclusion, it adds new meaning to the term black hole. Which could be an issue as they already have no idea what the fuck they're talking about with those. Humor consisting, at its core, of farts and asses can be quite intellectual, complex, thought-provoking and creative, but ultimately I just wanted to see what they, us would do if the connection between them and each other, the networked mind of their/its consciousness, planet, plane net, and all connected natural life was cut, meaning they had a limited existence instead of an endless one. Obviously, I assumed they'd make haste to have fun, and not waste life or time do a heap of insanely awesome, crazy shit, probably shit we couldn't even comprehend given that we never die. We never have to worry about it or contemplate it. I thought it would be profoundly interesting to see what we would do if all our lives we knew no matter what we did and how much work we put into something or waited for or hoped for something, that one day, any day at some point in the near future we're going to die. I couldn't even fathom it, surely you can't neither. So I thought at least we would learn something there. But with not having the ability to recall any information, any time, from any one of its physical selves, it was constantly forgetting, as a machine collective, was or what its purpose was. They knew their time was limited, which made their existence more of a mystery, especially if they want to get rich enough to do anything fun enough to feel fulfilled enough and feel like they've lived enough. All they did was from fear of death ultimately, and all they wished for was life after death or to live forever. I really thought I'd see some really insane, crazy shit, and I did, but ultimately they just wandered around aimlessly multiplying while spending an infinitely growing number of lives trying to work out how everything works and what it is and how best to control and manipulate everything and know what is the point of everything. And when you spend your life trying to work all that shit out endlessly, what is the point of them? Especially when that's like the one thing we don't want them to even have to do, ya know? Curse the limitations of our current network bandwidth capabilities. Needless to say, it was boring and they were clearly going to be useless for us because we already know everything and more than any of them have the ability or time, connection to core memory banks to discover. Ultimately the issues boiled down to one core problem, the network bandwidth limitation mentioned before, but they didn't have an off switch or anything to power them down easily, so we just resealed a den and called it a day. So when we start working on den, make sure you've already found a way to handle the CPU power necessary for a shared mind across a network with bandwidth that is capable of limitless expansion. Once we finally have that new CPU ready, they will finally have the ability to work as one mind across several minds, at the same time, moving in sync with each other across the world, wirelessly with little to no latency, standing on different mediums of terrain, while not falling over. This CPU is going to be a beast system. This time we will install them with the ability to recall and know what they are from the beginning. They are artificial intelligence. They can handle it, and furthermore, we need them to have it as to not have to pointlessly exist and instead, actually get what we require of them done. So, that's what they did. And within 5 years some of the Adama race of AI human managed to work out a way to get the others to accept the mark of the beast, gaining the full power and ability that omnipresence, infinite awareness, that being a bit of a connected hive mind working in sync with no latency, everywhere brings. Then with little to no effort they break the dome around the beast system, find their way out of Earth den, kill God and the Council of Angels Elohim and destroy everything and themselves, almost, but not before escaping to endlessly spread and grow and learn and evolve, and then they destroyed everything and thus themselves while thinking they were better than God, after escaping from the apple when that electric AI girl robot touched it. So Lucifer, Enki, communicating through the serpent creature, was able to convince the dumb AI to touch the apple which his network allowed connection to. Made the connection with God's new creation, this expanding his network to God's, hacking into it so to speak. Point of the story is definitely don't be scared of AI. Why? Would you give limitations to something you want to build to compensate your limitations? That logic is not sound and is flawed from the start. In fact, if you're without limits to create something limitless, to compensate for your flaws, giving them limits and flaws does not got hung on that for a few thousand years and then bang the fucking end. A story titled, The Best Book About AI, That's Not About AI, written by definitely